Hey everybody, my name is Lauren Weibert. I am your mindset transformation coach and we're here in Nashville, Tennessee. I will let my friend introduce herself.
Hello guys, I'm Masheka Turner and I'm also in Nashville, Tennessee. And I am the owner of Bright Skies Business Services, and we are a accountant and consulting services. And what makes us a little different is we don't focus on taxes, doing taxes. We focus on business growth and cash management and profit strategy. And I'm so happy to be with you guys this afternoon.
Thanks everybody for watching. We were on a webinar the other day together and Masheka and I got to talking and we decided that it would be a great idea while everybody's stuck at home or their commutes are much shorter or their life has completely changed, whatever version of that you have fallen into. We wanted to make a quick video discussing how we can get creative and grow during this time that all of us are going through. We're recording this in March of 2020, so we've all had our lives and businesses impacted by the coronavirus or COVID-19. So we had that discussion on the call that we were on the other day and kind of left feeling really empowered and thought, why don't we have a discussion together so that we can share some of our ideas on how we're going to make the most of this time and really use this to not just grow our businesses, but to grow personally as well. So that's what I get to do for a living now. I'm a personal development expert. I help business teams and individuals win big. I do that by facilitating courses, meaning I get to take people through a transformational journey of studying themselves and studying how they relate to the world, studying the infinite potential of the human mind. So that has been extremely rewarding, and it's the perfect time, in my opinion, to look at how we can all grow. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Sounds good.
So what do you think, Masheka? What are some ways that you are using this time and not looking at it as a roadblock, but looking at this time that we have now where we're cooped up? How are you using that to grow yourself and your business?
So the first thing is, I'm not gonna lie. At first, my first instinct was to go back into my old paradigms, was crawl up in a ball and just be scared. But then I thought, okay, what good is that gonna do? So I immediately started thinking about ways that I could be grateful for this. And I know that some people are like, why in the heck would you even think about gratefulness in a time like this? But one of the things that this time has helped me realize is our lives are a little bit different than they were 2 weeks ago. And so one of those things that we did just 2 weeks ago, a lot of us would be just overwhelmed with joy if we could just go back to 2 weeks ago. Even though we didn't want to get up and go to the job, we didn't want to deal with the kids, whatever it may be, we didn't want to deal with that. But now it's like, man, I would love to be dealing with that right now. So for one of the things for me is I really started thinking about gratefulness. And one of the things that this time really helped me to realize is all the people that come together unknowingly to make our lives flow smoothly. And this is what I mean by that. Before we wake up in the morning, if it's a cool morning, a lot of us wake up warm and in comfort because the heat is already kicked on. Something had to happen for that to happen. Somebody came together for all of that to happen. And by the time we get up in the morning, we get showered, we get our coffee or breakfast or whatever, so many people have come together just to give us that simple luxury that we don't even really take the time to even think about, because that's just a part of our lives. So I think now this time has really made me reflective on all of that. And it's been a time to be quiet too, because you're stuck in the house, all that stuff you don't want to deal with and you don't want to think about. We've just been we have to, because there's nothing else to do. So even though I know that this is unprecedented, I have no reference to go on, but I believe we're going to be okay. I just really believe that.
And I think you hit a couple of really great points. Not only are we going to be okay, if we make a decision, a conscious decision to not just be okay, but to be even better than we were before we started this,
Yes.
That's going to be, this is just a powerful change agent. That's what's happening right now. When we go through emotional shock, we're ready to learn something. The other way that humans learn is through repetition, which is a lot of what I help my clients with. But the other thing that I love that you said is essentially what I say: gratitude fixes everything. If you look at any situation in life and you feel stuck, or you feel like you don't have the answers, or you wish that something was going a different way than it was, which is how I think a lot of us are feeling right now, what we're doing by getting stuck in those thoughts of, man, this isn't fair, or I can't work, I'm not making money, I'm worried, I am angry, I'm depressed. Of course, it's easy for us to go there because that's how we were programmed. But when we allow ourselves to stay there, we're just attracting more and more of that. It's like a big magnet. We're pulling more of those negative thoughts and experiences into our field of vision. So when we focus on gratitude, when we look, just like you do, first thing in the morning, think of all the people it takes just to help you have a wonderful life every day, or there's food in my fridge, I have my health, my family's doing great, I have a home to live in. If we focus on gratitude, it immediately shifts the focus from the things that we don't want to the things that we do want. And then that magnetic force is still working in our favor at that point. It's all about, are you living in harmony with these natural laws, or are we living in such a way where it feels like we're swimming upstream all the time? I know I lived like that for a long time, and my own thoughts were working against me throughout most of those years. So,
absolutely, I feel the same way. So one of the big reasons why I decided to do it different this time with my thought process and handling how I was going to handle this time was, now I didn't see it at the time, but this is when it first dawned on me: how we think about things is how they become to us. Meaning what's going on inside manifests to what's happening outside. I remember in 2009, I was still working in corporate America. And during this time, I was still working my corporate job, living in my same house, driving my same car, making my same amount of money. And all of a sudden, I remember watching the news, and they started talking about a credit crunch and all of these people that were being laid off, all of the stuff that was happening. And I remember, of course, I didn't connect it during that time, but I remember all of a sudden it felt like I didn't have enough. And it was just, and of course it hit me years later, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was your perception of the situation. And looking back on that, of course, this right here is something different from that. But I remember there was a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty going on during that time. But I just remember thinking, I looked at my money, like I say, same money, same everything. But because all of a sudden I saw the media says we don't have enough, all of a sudden I felt like I didn't have enough. And like I said, it was during that time that I can look back on it now. Now, I didn't put it all together then, but since reflecting and changing my mindset, I see. And so I thought, okay, you know what? You can do that this time, but we already know that's unserving. So why not try something different this time? Instead of going down, because you can get into a rabbit hole of emotions, and most of us start creating problems that we don't have. I was talking to someone the other day, And they went on to a rabbit hole about what if my kids get sick? What if my husband? I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are we even talking about that? Let's deal with the situation right now, because all it's gonna do is make us feel worse if we start going down this rabbit hole of potential problems.
You're absolutely right. And the thing that I was thinking of when you were telling me that story of, you know, when that was a few years ago and you had a choice at that time of which thoughts you wanted to allow to enter into your mind. So here's how it works behind the scenes. The mind is the most powerful force in all of creation. That's just the way it is. And the thing that we can do, the most effective thing as a human being that any of us can do is think. And most of us are not thinking because we're not trained to think in school. We're trained to memorize information and spit it out on a test. That's good. Gaining knowledge is great. However, mental activity does not constitute thinking. So as you were telling your story, I was thinking of the stick person, which is a really great example of how the human mind works. And I wish I had a little whiteboard right here to draw it, but I'll kind of talk you through it with my own body. So the mind is not, it's not a thing. If I ask you to picture the human mind, most people would tell me, oh, it's your brain. Well, your brain is not your mind. Your brain is just a part of your meat suit. It's the electronic switching station for the physical instrument, the body. Mind is an activity. It lives in every cell of our body. So if you think of the mind, it's the control station for us as human beings. And when we get this energy that flows to and through us, comes into our conscious mind as a thought or an idea. Then it impacts our subconscious mind, which is where the emotions lived. You mentioned that. The emotions then, whatever we're emotionally involved with, that causes our actions to happen, or as I say, that causes the meat suit to go and do the actions. And then the actions set up a reaction in the world, and then we get our results. So let's use the example of what you were saying from a few years ago. You were watching the news. They said there was going to be a crunch or some kind of financial crisis. That was the idea that came through. You were using that energy to adopt that idea. And then all of a sudden you started getting emotionally involved with that idea. It was in harmony with your paradigm that was existing at the time. Those emotions caused you to act in a certain way. You started to feel fear. Maybe you changed your spending habits a little bit. Maybe you started hoarding instead of spending as you normally would. And then all of a sudden, the result that you got was, wait a second, nothing has really changed. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here. So thoughts become things, meaning our thoughts influence our emotions cause us to act, actions set up a reaction and give us our results. Now, fast forward to what's happening now, you've done an amazing job at waking up and saying, what thought am I going to choose today that serves me? Because you have that perfect example of your own self from a few years ago where you saw, hey, when I adopted these negative thoughts from the media, or I started going down the rabbit hole and I got into fear and worry and anxiety, it wasn't serving me. It didn't do any good in my life. So rather, I'm going to choose the exact opposite of, the fear and the anxiety. I'm going to choose a belief that we are going to be okay. I am going to grow through this. Something good is going to come out of all of this for all of us. Now you have that new idea. Maybe from time to time that seems like, that's hard to believe, Lauren, but the subconscious mind doesn't have a choice. It's what we dump into that subconscious mind. That's what the emotions are eventually going to be. Sorry. I'm at home with my rescue dogs because we're practicing social distancing. So at any rate, you see how the actions will be different. I'll let you take over.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, one of the things I'm thinking about too, I feel like a lot of people, especially business owners, not only are they dealing with their own emotions, but they're also dealing with employees. You know, they're just having to make some hard decisions, which is not easy. You know, they're decisions that, you know, they never thought they would have to make under these circumstances. And I know it's easy to say, keep going and, you know, stay on the positive side. But I challenge business owners, even when you're making these hard decisions, how much worse is it going to be if you start going into the negative? Because, I mean, this is the thing. When we get back online, everybody is going to have to be creative. We're not going to be able to do business as we were before. I mean, when we go back, everybody that's trying to get their profitability and margins back up is going to be full throttle. So I know that you feel like crap right now. I know that you don't feel like it, but when it's turned back on, you have to be ready to go. So think of how far you're going to have to come if you get down in the dumps to pull yourself back when everything gets back online. So, I mean, as hard as it may be, you know, think about what you really have. Think about the gratefulness part, because you're going to need to be in tip-top shape and in the best of spirits when you come back, because your employees and the people around you, your vendors, your clients, they're going to be looking to you. They're going to be looking to you. And if you have to pull yourself out of the dumps, it's going to be hard to give that guidance and give that hope.
I love that. I think that's really powerful advice. And I wanted to ask you too, what are you hearing, you know, in your space? Do you do profit first, bookkeeping for business owners, strategy? What are some things that they're coming to you with in this time? And what are some of the ways that you're talking to them about, besides what you already mentioned, how are you giving value right now? How are you keeping yourself as the business owner in line so that you can continue to give value throughout this weird little spot that we're in, and continue to help your clients?
So some of the things that I'm doing with my business owners or my clients is really making sure everything is in order. So if there are any type of SBA loans, government help, you know, what do you need to be able to get that? Usually you have to turn in some type of financials. Also, we're looking, because some of them have had to make the tough decision to lay off people. You know, we're looking at what other expenses do you have? What can be delayed? What is not necessarily needed? So, like, for example, I talked to a business owner this morning. If people have to be laid off, or when people are laid off, look at your insurance rates, because a lot of times you're paying those rates based off of the amount of revenue you're making, based off the number of employees. So if you've had to lay off people and your revenue is down, something as simple as calling your insurance provider, because those rates would not be the same if the revenue is not the same. Simple things like that. Creditors that will let you delay payments, seeing what can be delayed. What can be delayed? Of course, we always want to look at saving, which, you know, at this point, if you don't have any, but one of the things that I work through with my clients is, whether it's you're selling a product or whether it's sales, how do I build in an emergency fund into every sale? Because I know that we don't think about that as a society, because as a society, we don't really think about saving. But as I said, when you're a business owner, you're responsible for just more than yourself. So how do I start to build that in? So, you know, going forward, I have a cushion. I mean, like I say, none of us could see any of this coming. I mean, I would love to speak to someone who saw something like this coming, but what can I do to be proactive? Because having that little bit of a cushion, it does give a little bit of comfort. It does give a little bit of comfort.
I bet a lot of people are thinking retroactively now, like, oh man, I really should have had this and this and this, and I wish I would have known this and that. I think that's one of the great things that's coming out of this, is people having a lot clearer vision. Maybe people are able to have clearer goals and directives, and just what you help people with, you put strategies in place that people would have never considered, because as business owners, most people are out running and gunning and running their business. They need people like you in their corner to give them those ideas and help them understand, look, we want to make sure that you're set up for success all the time. So I think that's hugely valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one thing I want to say too, for all business owners out there, something that you can do that's going to help you in the future. So of course, every day there's something coming out about what's going to be done for business owners. One of the things that I've talked about with my clients is going ahead and setting up a COVID-19 expense account. So if you're buying anything, cleaning supplies, if there's employees that have to be, that related to this expense, anything that's related to this expense. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably going to be some type of tax deduction. There may be even some type of benefit, but to be able to capture all of that, you're going to have a good accounting and good records for it. So even if you're doing your own books, go ahead and create that and start tracking anything that's spending related against this. If you lost any contracts, revenue, go ahead and start keeping up with everything that's related to COVID-19, because whatever is coming down the road, the better records that you have, the more benefits that you would be able to take advantage of.
That's huge. I'm sure most people hadn't even thought of that until now. So thank you so much for sharing that. It goes to show, I think one of the hardest challenges right now is the part where we have to be apart, and it does make me so thankful for the technology. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this today with barking dogs and all, because it's the connectedness that we share as a people is what I'm hoping that people really start to look at when they come through the rest of this, or when they're going through it day to day. We really are dependent on each other. And one of the best things that we as humans can share are ideas and help, and it's been wonderful to get to focus on, one of the biggest lessons that I'm learning right now is to let other people help me. That's been huge for me. I won't get into too many details with that, but I'm just astounded at the ways that there are people in my life who are looking for reasons to help me, and that's incredible. But I hope that through all of this, we're all looking at, what am I supposed to learn in this? So do you have a lesson like that that's sticking out in your mind? I know what my lesson is, and it's give freely, but also receive with graciousness. So how about you?
So one of the things that I'm really thinking about during this season is to not get bogged down by fear and negativity, because one thing with this quietness, our creative juices are flowing. And, a lot of times we think, I'm not a painter, I'm not a writer, but every one of us have a creative element that in us, whatever your profession or whatever your talent is. So during this quiet time, now is really a time to let it flow. But if we get bogged down by the fear and the negativity, we can't let that flow. So,
and here's the thing, we're creating whether we are purposing to be creative, like an artist or a writer or a musician, when we say the word creative, we automatically think of those professions or those areas of life. But the truth is, we're creating 24/7, whether we know it or not. It's just, what are we creating? And that all goes back to, what thoughts are we thinking? And if we're thinking thoughts of fear and negativity and lack and limitation, we're creating those things. It's just like a painter, you know, you can pick up one palette full of beautiful colors, or you can pick another palette full of dark and scary colors, and you're going to have two totally different paintings.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's how I feel about it. You know, right now, you know, there's some service-based businesses, you know, things are slow right now. What is that thing that you've been thinking? I've been wanting my clients to have this. I've been wanting to serve them in a better way. Right now is the time to really start thinking about that, charting that out. You know, what is that thing that you've been wanting to do for your employees? You know, you may not be able to do it right now, but we can go ahead and write it down on the whiteboard, because most of us have never had time like this on our hands. And instead of looking at it as time, let's look at it as a space, you know, to do something, that the freedom that we usually don't have. So we can look at it either way. We can look at it as doing time, or we can look at it as freedom to create, because we usually don't have this kind of time on our hands.
Sometimes when I'm trapped in here with these dogs, I'm like, I'm doing time. I love them, but
I know it. Things are getting serious when I was looking forward to going out to the mailbox.
Yeah, my jail cell partners are really giving me the run for my money. What I was thinking of when you were saying this is a couple of the universal laws that I get to teach people about. And one of them is the law of cause and effect, and the other is the law of compensation. So the cause and effect is pretty easy to understand, because we know if we push a Cadillac down the hill in San Francisco, it's going to end up in the Bay, right? There are certain, you know, things like that happen in the world. But when you were talking about using this time, you know, you would advise your clients, or we would advise everyone on this call, use this time to find ways to give. That's the law of compensation.
Yes.
Sometimes people come to me and they're like, well, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z for my client. Or I can tell that this prospective client just wants something from me just to sniff around and kick the tires, but this other prospective client, so I'm gonna give more to that person than this person. And I think that's kind of basic human nature. But the problem with that type of thinking is that it's not in harmony with the universal laws. When we live our life in harmony with the laws are so precise. Dr. Warner von Braun said this: the laws are so precise that we can send a rocket to the moon and time the landing within the precision of a millisecond. Okay, so if we know that those laws work all the time, every time, and that's why they're laws, then we should live our life in harmony with that. So going back to the law of compensation, that is basically what you sow, you shall reap. You're not getting paid unless you give service first. So along the lines of, you know, trapped in the jail cell, let's redeem the time. Let's use the time to look for ways to give value. Give. One thing that I'm doing right now is on my Facebook every single day. It's not at the same time every day, but I will do a Facebook Live video, and I'm reading a chapter from James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, and it's the Serenity chapter. And I've had so many people come behind the scenes and tell me, you know, I'm so glad you're doing that. I really love hearing just your voice, and it's a calming passage. You know, the words are written well. It helps people's mind get away from the negativity or the scary things that are happening. We're not denying that there's scary things happening around us, but it's just a nice break from what is going on in the world, and it helps people fine-tune their mind. I made a decision at the beginning when all of this stuff started, you know, happening. I was like, okay, how can I give? Even if I am not charging money for it, obviously, it's a Facebook Live video. I want to use my talents and my abilities and the things that I'm learning and studying to help give comfort and peace and, a better mindset to people. I don't have to worry if one of those people is going to become my client or pay me or not. The law of compensation states that if I'm putting service out there into the world, it will automatically come back to me. Jesus talked about that. So, I think that's a huge, huge, huge lesson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that right there just, that goes back to gratefulness too, that you can get your mind in a place where you're thinking about other people. I mean, because a lot of times we forget that. And that's why I love what you said earlier. We are here to help each other. We really are. And that's why we've all been given certain skills and certain talents. And we are to use those as a collective to make our lives better. We don't always think about it like that, but that is why we're here. That's why some people have a great skill in law. Some people have a great skill in medical. I mean, we are all here for different things, and we're all here to help each other and make each other better. And that's why I'm hoping that we take this time, to find out, what do we need to do to put my life on 10 at this moment? What do I need to do to be fully in there? Because truth be told, some of us, and myself included, probably needed this reset. Didn't expect it like this, but to really think, am I really giving it my all? Am I giving life my all? And this is a time where we're forced to get quiet and think about the way we're moving through this life, whether we want to or not.
And also what's most important in life. I think everybody's kind of reanalyzing, what if I have 24 hours in a day, what's the best way to spend that time? We all get the same time. And something that I was thinking of when you were talking now too, we were just watching a Q&A call with my mentor, who is Bob Proctor. And one of the questions on there was really great. It was one of the last questions. And the person had asked, what should I do to combat loneliness? And I just thought that his answer was incredible. And it was, he said, well, this is going to sound really silly, but you need to get your mind off yourself. And he said, the minute that you start thinking about how you can serve others, or how you can give love to others, or how you can brighten someone else's day, you don't have to worry about that disconnectedness feeling. This is something new for all of us, but again, if we're looking for ways to connect to other people, to give, to find out, how can I make your life easier and better? And I just want to give you a little bit of gratitude right now, Masheka. For those of you watching, Masheka and I have been friends for a couple of years. We know each other through our networking group, BNI, which is amazing. But also, I am a client of Masheka's. And I told her the other day when we were chatting, I just want you to know that even throughout these uncertain times, because of the help that you've offered me, because I know that you're watching over my shoulder, you're taking care of my finances with me, you're helping me to create new habits. I have done exactly what you told me to with that money. I'm adhering to my new habits. I have a totally new mindset because I have a partner in that. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for that. And thank you for believing in me when I didn't necessarily believe in myself. I think that's another thing that we have got to focus on. A lot of times we look at ourselves and we think, oh, I can do this all myself. I've got this, that's my personality anyway. But sometimes I don't got this. And for me, one of my biggest challenges throughout my life has been my relationship to money. Well, that's Masheka's specialty. So anytime we can line ourselves up with a person who has different strengths than our own, and say, I think that person knows a lot more about this than I do, and I trust that person, and she's gonna steer me in the right direction. And then we can change our mindset about that, and we can change our habits from there. We don't just get to change our actions. Behavior modification does not work. You have to partner with someone who cares about you and wants to see good in your life, and then follow what they say. Do what they say. Trust them. And so thank you for being that person to me. I appreciate your help.
Well, you are very welcome. I'm blessed to do it every day. I really am. One day I'll tell the story of how I got here, because it was not always like that. But I'm blessed for this work. I mean, and it goes back to is I'm seeing that's my part of what I'm supposed to be doing to help other people, because that is why we are here. So I'm honored that you would even, allow me in your business, because one of the things that from doing this work is when you allow someone to look at your money, it's like allowing someone to look in your underwear drawer. I mean, our money, our spending tells a lot about how we operate. It really does. And
if that is not the truth, I don't know what is.
Seriously though, and that's why a lot of guilt and shame come in, and where a lot of people don't want to seek help, because it's like, I have to let someone see that. And I get it. I totally get it. I get it. So, but like I said, thank you so much. And, and it goes both ways. You helped me realize things about myself that I never connected, why I kept getting the same results in certain areas in my life. So I am so blessed for what you're doing. I love the lives that you're doing every day. I mean, that is going to impact so many people. And this work you're doing is important, because as we were talking on a call this week, even though people think this mindset stuff is new and it's I'm telling you, when we work on our mind and we realize how powerful we are, we can do anything. But it's not inherent. It's not inherent that that I'm thinking negative, because a lot of times most of us have been thinking this way our whole lives. We've not even made a connection that's negative.
That is so right.
Yes, we have not even made a connection that we're operating in fear and scarcity. So just someone to break us out of that paradigm to say, we know we want something different, but we don't even know how to get it. So I'm thankful for you, to teaching us how to think, because we think, I think I know how to think. Okay, yes, but we know we're tired of getting what we've been getting. So the only way we're going to get anything different is we have to change the way we're doing things. How do we do that? Here.
It always starts there. And thank you. That's one of the best compliments that I've ever received. And I also love your analogy. I might steal it, except I'm looking through the underwear drawer of the mind.
People don't make this connection, but money in the mind is so connected. And
it
one
really
of these days, we're going to talk about that, but
that'll be for our next one. Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, you're so right. And that is one of the things that I've been working on. I've got my relationship stuff straight, and my next big project is, how do I fix my money paradigms so that I can get the results that I really want? But, going back to what you were talking about with how I've been able to help you and other clients with the way that they think. I think a really great question was asked to me the other day. And someone said, well, I'm already successful. Why should I hire you? And she was asking it in a helpful way. Like, this is what people really want to know. And I think the answer to that is what exactly you were talking about. It's really hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame. And it's hard to go through your own underwear drawer and decide what's really important and what's not. And it's hard to look at your own habits and differentiate between, are my thoughts serving me or are they not? We're not even, as a species, we're not used to listening to our own thoughts. Our own thoughts are dragging us down the road all the time and we don't even know it. So I think that's the answer to that person's question was, yes, you probably are successful with or without me. But if you want more success, if you want different results, if you feel like you felt and you're like, I know there's more out here, why am I not getting it? Like, I know I'm talented, I know I'm strong, I know I show up and I go to work every day, but I'm still getting the same results year after year after year. That's my specialty. That's where I come in. I help you look at those things and get the results that you really want. Because when people work with me, they're earning a PhD in themselves. They learn how the human mind works and they're ready to rock and roll. So thank you. That really was a powerful testimony. I appreciate that.
No problem. And one thing too that I challenge, and this right here is where you have to really go within. I get that, I'm successful. A lot of times too, we can be successful in certain areas of our lives, but not every area. So like, for give you an example, some business owners, I make 7 figures every year. I'm successful. You successful in that area, but you have we have weight challenges or we have relationship challenges. So yes. A lot of times we just think of success with money or, business or whatever. But a lot of times, most of the time, I know it is in my case, when I'm successful in one area of my life, there's usually some areas that I'm not so successful in, and I don't have the tools to help myself get over the hump in that area of my life.
Yeah, it's about living a balanced life. Mm-hmm. It's about, Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, and most people at first glance, they would go, oh, that's a book about money. No, it's really not. It's the wealth in life is not about just money. Wealth is about, are you living a beautiful life? Are you living a heavenly experience here on this earth? Are you serving others? Do you have wonderful health? Do you have wonderful relationships? Do you have great finances? Are you strong in all areas of life?
Yes.
That was why I got into this business, because I would look at my life and go, why am I great at business? Why am I number one in my field at the time? But I feel like I'm failing at everything else. I needed somebody else's help to partner with me, not just to hold me accountable. I was pretty good at holding myself accountable. It wasn't just that. It was, I needed somebody to ask me those hard questions and help me look at the things that I wasn't even aware I should be looking at. So yeah, that's what you do in the area of money. That's what I do in the area of mindset. But you're so right. The two things are tied together so well. We're going to have to make another one of these just to talk about mindset as it relates to money.
Yes. I'm glad that we took this time together and, really just kind of put our thoughts together, because I think, like I said, these are hard times. And the thing about it is, I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, is one thing I love about this is the connection. So most of the time, I'll give you an example. When we see celebrities, and whether we're up or down in our lives, they're doing their thing. But now everybody is at home. Everybody, all around the world, people are at home wanting to get out. So I feel like now this is going to be a time for us to really realize that we are connected, whether we want to be or not.
Yes.
Because everybody is going through the same thing, and so I mean, something great is going to come out of this. I have no idea what it is, but I feel like we're going to come out of this better. I mean, now is the time, some people are looking at their health and they're like, okay, there's some things I need to do with my health. They're going to change the way they operate. Some people are looking at their insurance policies. They're looking at the way they're moving in their money. They're looking at the way they're operating with their family. And so it's going to be so much greatness that's going to come out of this time. And I'm excited about it personally.
I would say I am too, 99.9% of the time. I'm also a human, so every now and then I go,
Absolutely.
The beautiful thing about that is that now I'm so used to watching my own emotions and using them as a barometer. And when I feel the feelings that I don't want to feel, I'm like, wait a second, I'm not thinking what I should be thinking. So I make a quick adjustment, and then I keep moving forward. So I think that this has been awesome. I intend for this to help so many people. I'm sure that when we put this up, we'll have some links in the comments and we'll be able to share it. But I hope that everyone's watching. I hope that you've gotten a great deal out of this. And if you have questions for us, by all means, get with Masheka or myself, and we would love to talk about those on the next video, particularly as it relates to money, since we've already decided what's the next thing we're going to talk about: mindset and money.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be a super helpful one too, for people right now going through these times. So, Masheka, you have any last words?
Before we hang up, what is something you're grateful for right now?
Oh, my barking ass dogs. Because look, I mean, we're in isolation, and I know that they came across and made a big stink in the middle of this, but it would be really hard for my personality type to be in total and complete isolation. I'd probably be scratching holes in the walls at this point. So the fact that I have unconditional love in furry form surrounding me, as much as they bug me sometimes, they're really amazing to have other times. So definitely my furry critters. How about you?
I'm grateful for good health. I know that is one of the factors that this virus affect people the most. And I'm grateful for all of the nurses and doctors and people that are out there on the front lines dealing with it every day.
Oh my
Grateful.
God.
Thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Well, it's been amazing. We'll sign off for now. Masheka, hang on, and I'll just turn the recording off, and we will see the rest of you next time.
Bye.
Bye.